Welcome, everybody. We're here for the GameChangers as part of Startup Week. We're so glad that you're here to join us. We've got a fantastic business leader, Mr. Sam Alley. He's the chairman and CEO of VCC, the largest retail construction company in the country. Sam, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, our audience is going to be really interested in knowing how you managed to build VCC. Can you give us a little bit of the background story? How'd you get started? And tell us a little bit about it.
Glad to. I'm glad you're asking me these questions. I love entrepreneurship and be glad to be telling the story about VCC and some of the entrepreneurship that we've done over the years. But VCC started in 1987 when I was 31 years of age on my birthday, March 17th. And we started the company with three of us, actually, and came into a building with three chairs and three phones. And they thought we are three bookies coming into a building and started booking some construction jobs. So we were fortunate to have three people that started the company that we complement each other and built it from there.
And why construction?
Well, actually, two out of the three we were civil engineers, and one of my partners was more in the field operations side as superintendent and / general superintendent. But in civil engineering, we do a lot of design for buildings, and it's something that I like to see what people design and be able to include not only engineering but business together. So really, construction includes engineering and business together, and that's why I really was excited to choose the construction industry.
And you were a University of Arkansas civil engineering graduate, is that right?
That is correct.
Did you meet your other two partners as part of that program?
No. One of my partners and I went to church together. And he was a civil engineer, but he's older than I, and he worked at a construction company, and he's really one of the ones that convinced me about the construction industry. My other partner was Ray, got his education through hard knocks by working out in the field operations and building buildings, and more of an operation guy.
So you had the right mix of engineering education and just practical knowledge to pull the company together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, the early days in getting something brand new started, how did you find your first clients?
Well, when we were at another construction company, the three of us, so when we left and started our own, people deal with people. And whenever you service clients, no matter what you are, that's why I tell all entrepreneurs, even you may not have your own company yet, but be like an entrepreneur, because if you ever go and start your own company, people will come and ask you to service them because they've dealt with you. And it doesn't matter what the name of the company is, it's the individual that makes a difference. So when we left, we were fortunate that other clients believed in us as people to service them, and they asked us to start working for them. Even the name of the company was different, but the people were the same.
You had those relationships. That's so important in business. And so you were able to get those initial clients, but it's still really difficult in the early days of a business. What kept you motivated when you first got started?
Well, that's a very good question. All three of us were driven. And we know we want to be successful. To be successful, you got to work at it. And we really worked hard at not only calling on clients that we've had before, but new clients and be able to service those clients and the network in our industry. And we did a lot of shopping centers. So in the shopping center industry, it's like a fraternity. So the network knows what you're doing out there. And when they hear positive things about you servicing certain clients, then they come to you and ask you to service them. So that's through the network and our performance to the clients that gave us the opportunity to start our business. And Simon was one of them, which we always compliment Simon for doing it, and General Growth Properties, and I can go on and on with all the clients we've had over the years. But I would have to say at the beginning, Simon was a big catalyst to give us the opportunity to service them. So that's been inspirational, and really I attribute a lot of our success to the clients that have given us opportunities to work for.
Given when you started in the late 1980s, and you've now been in this more than 30 years, what were some of the really significant challenges that you had to overcome as a company?
Well, initially, the biggest challenge that we had to overcome is our bonding capacity and our financial strength. So starting out with nothing, you really got to be able to leverage and be able to joint venture projects. So our first project, which is a major project in Fort Lauderdale, was going to happen, but we knew we could build it. We knew we had the intellect to do it. We didn't have the financial strength to be able to do that. So we went out and found a joint venture partner that came on board that never done retail before. So we added value in regards to the retail industry, knowing how to build retail. They added value from the financial strength. So that was our first major job. That's over $40 million for a startup company. It really got us going. But it was a joint venture and getting over that hump. And as we continue to build the company, a lot of the sort of the financial needs, and we believed in no debt. So we never wanted to put any debt on our company. And so we built this company with no debt, because I hated leverage, and I don't want banks knocking on my door whenever things go south, like it did in 2008 and before. And so that was a big challenge for us to overcome, is building a company with no debt.
And particularly, you built the one of the largest and most successful construction companies in the country without debt. That's pretty rare and incredible. And one thing, given the size and where you could have located the headquarters, what kept you in Arkansas?
Well, we love Arkansas. When I came to Arkansas, I was 14 years of age and didn't speak any English. So I tell the story going to Rose City Junior High. They thought I came from Mars because they hadn't seen a foreign student before. But so I loved Arkansas, and I was raised here. And even Pickens Bond Construction, where I worked, was a big construction company in Arkansas. So Arkansas is a good place, not only to raise a family, but to build a business for many, many reasons. And it's a great place to be an entrepreneur because there's a lot of opportunities here. Your overhead is not as high as California and other places. So you tend to be more efficient and compete with others out of Arkansas because the overhead is much lower. We can go to California and compete with California contractors at a much lower overhead. So I would attribute Arkansas to our success.
It really is the land of opportunity from that standpoint.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it. So as you think about, for an entrepreneur that's going to build something to be successful, based on what you did with VCC, what advice would you give? What are some of those key points in order to build something that is of global and national consequence like you did?
Well, I would say drive. You have to have drive, and you have to have determination and grit to really be successful in life. And so a lot of hard work, the work ethics, to build your own company has to be up there, and you're going to have to be the first one there and the last one to leave, so to speak, at the company, and roll in your sleeves and be able to get on planes and travel and do whatever it takes. There's a lot of sacrifices that the family have to be also supportive of what you're trying to do. And thank God my family was very supportive of the things that we were trying to do to build a company. And it took a lot of hard work, a lot of travel, a lot of determination, and so the advice I give a lot of entrepreneurs out there is you have to have drive, and you have to have determination, and with that, you will achieve success.
You've had this great history, and I think back on my own history in building businesses and different things, and there's typically a few specific moments that kind of stand out to say that moment was a game-changing moment. It made all the difference. Were there any of those sorts of moments for you along the way?
Well, definitely a moment that happened to us is getting our first major project in Fort Lauderdale. I think that was the moment that gives me chills till today when I talk about it, because we were not getting paid as partners because we wanted to build a company. And so we went months without getting paid, and we got that job and we started getting the paycheck. And so that's a moment in time that really stands out for me.
Yeah, it's amazing. That first major validation through a good client or a big client really makes a lot of difference. And you've said some of this already, but it seems like you've built this amazing team. What was the secret to building a great team, and how would you describe your culture as well at VCC?
Well, the culture that we have at our company it's all about people, caring about people. And then, in a simplistic way of saying it, is a family atmosphere. And then creating harmony amongst the different departments within our company. That was really the first thing that my partners and I said, that we needed to create harmony amongst the different departments, and also create harmony amongst our trade partners, who is, some people call them subcontractors, and we call them trade partners, and then create harmony amongst the architects and create harmony amongst the clients. And so when you create harmony and you create a family atmosphere, that really is the culture of our company, and that creates success. And the people that make a difference, that's what I've said it many, many times, that people are our biggest asset. You can look at our financial statements and it's numbers, but when you look at our people, is what makes a difference in our company is our people that make things happen, whether it's good or bad, and we hope that they make it happen in a good way. And that's the philosophy.
And you've had people that have been with you for a very long time as well, the long tenure with the company.
Absolutely. I've had people with me for 30 some odd years now, and people many people that have been with me over 20 years, and we give Rolex watches at 20 years. Actually, I got a call yesterday from someone that just got the Rolex watch, and to thank me for the Rolex watch. I said, no, thank you for being part of the family and being dedicated to our culture and our philosophy and servicing our clients and do what's right at all times. So this is really, and other people know we care about them, and they care about the company, and that's really what it's all about. You just got to care about the people.
And that makes so much difference. And with that great team that you built coming into this pandemic, which is really unprecedented for all of us in many respects, how have you managed your way through the current COVID-19 crisis?
The first thing that that occurred, like anything like 2008, it was not on our radar for COVID-19 to occur. It was nobody's radar, obviously. And when it happened, the first thing that we did is show care about the health and safety of our employees. So I called the management meeting, and I told our management team that we will be meeting every day from now till we take care of the things that we need to take care of making sure that our people are safe and healthy, and also making sure that our people understand that we are going to refine our company and pivot, and we want to be part of the equation to survive this storm, or in this case, a tsunami. And so we built our company to always be able to survive storms, because that's one reason we have no debt. So we're in a good position. But also, when something like this happens, is you've got to pivot, and luckily we've started investing in technology back in 1987. And so we knew that, managing in a disaster recovery, if our building goes on fire, or we get a flood, whatever the case may be, can we adjust? Well, we've already practiced that. So everybody worked from home. We had the technology to be able, we didn't miss a beat with this COVID. So because we were prepared and we were managing our risk and understanding that something could happen, we just didn't know what it is. And it did happen in 2008, the same thing in the financial crisis. So we pivoted. But in the COVID-19, my biggest concern was caring about our people and their health. Number one, besides financial, adjustments and refinements and whatever the case may be, to survive this tsunami.
Given the orientation that you have towards retail construction and whatnot, what's your outlook on how we come out of this? And what's your, optimistic, pessimistic? What would be your view of how it looks over the course of the next couple of years?
Yeah. Well, I'm the kind of person, I'm neither optimistic or pessimistic. I'm a realistic kind of person. And I think our people understand that. And I make it clear of what we feel like is happening. There's no doubt in my mind that there'll be changes in our industry and retail in particular. But retail is changing. Retail is changing every year. It's been changing for years. So we've always pivoted to the change. The latest in retail that's going to be positive, actually, instead of negative, is even though retail is changing with Amazon and all that and online purchases, is a lot of repurposing of department stores. Unfortunately, that because of retail changes that are not going to be around. Sears stores, for instance, we're working on a few projects right now that we're demolishing these Sears stores and repurposing the malls. In regards to adding, multifamily, adding medical facilities, adding, restaurants going to be affected. So we were adding restaurants, and I'm not sure. Hopefully, we won't have this second phase of COVID, but restaurants been affected. Hospitality is going to take a few years to recover. So, but retail in particular is going to be a lot of repurposing of these malls. Half of the malls going to be demolished and repurposed to multifamily, because multifamily is still strong. Could be medical facilities that could be at malls. So it's going to be repurposed. So there'll be activities. It'll be just different kinds of activities.
And you're prepared for that. You're given that you understand the fundamentals of this commercial construction. It's a great opportunity for you if they're repurposed and these businesses kind of get ahead of where they want to go to be able to take advantage of that as a business, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In any downturn, we've taken advantage of the downturn and became a better company than we were before. And even our country, frankly, when you look at the tragedy we had in 2001 and the downturn of 2008 and now this COVID, I feel like our American people will become better because of downturns. I've seen it. We become better as a country. We became better as a company. In 2001, 2008, and now I believe that we've become a better country and we become a better company because of this downturn and this pandemic that occurred.
Sometimes that adversity forces you to have a really clear focus on what really matters, and innovations that maybe you held off on when things are going really well, you have to spend the time on when there's a downturn or adversity, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the different businesses, how they pivoted and come up with new ways to be able to service their customers, whether it's restaurants or whether it's even hotels. And I'm part of that equation as well. And understanding how you have to pivot to the latest and greatest and be able to service your patrons.
Given that you were technically trained as an engineer, what advice would you have for other highly technical people or young people that are going through engineering programs as it relates to entrepreneurship and starting your own business?
Well, I wished in engineering that there were more business courses to teach you business. I talked to Dean English about this, and I know the University of Arkansas is created a program now, is a master's in construction that involves the business school, it involves the law school, it involves the architectural school, and the engineering. So that's the construction side of it. So I wished that I've had more accounting courses. I wish, even though I learned some of the business side of the business in selling groceries at my father's store and selling fireworks and selling Christmas trees and selling catfish and on and so forth. So that taught me some of that business, but not at school. I didn't take any accounting classes. I didn't take any finance classes. So I wish starting a company at 31 years of age didn't have. Now, I learned it over time and learned what to do and what not to do and how to speak to banks and how to discuss things with bonding companies and what they look for and all the ratios and cash flow and all that. So I wish that I've gotten more business classes going through college, in my opinion. That's what I suggest to entrepreneurship. You've got to understand accounting.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And that higher ed in general is starting to recognize that entrepreneurship as a discipline or a pursuit is multidisciplinary, and it crosses multiple different specialties, and you can't be highly specialized and actually be really successful in creating a business. You have to know too many things. So I think that's a great insight, actually, really good. Well, as we kind of wrap up, and we've covered so much really interesting ground here, it seems to me that you sort of manifest that American dream. I mean, you came from another place, you didn't speak the language. How would you characterize that? I mean, what are your feelings about the opportunity you had and the path that you followed? Is that the American dream?
Oh, absolutely. I love America and what it provided for me individually and my family. And coming at 14 years of age at Rose City and not speaking English, as I said earlier, and America giving me the opportunity, and my teachers starting out with gave me the opportunity to make it through school. So people will give you opportunities when you work hard and they see that you're trying to make it, they will give you that opportunity. Because otherwise, I'd have flunked every class except mathematics because it's a universal language.
Right.
But other than that, I would have, so the teachers they had to have graded me on the progress I was making versus against anybody else, right, wrong, and different. So they gave me an opportunity to make it there, and then the entrepreneurship and the opportunities that all exist in America, in my opinion, does not exist anywhere. And if you can't make it in America, you can't make it anywhere. And so there is a lot of opportunity there. You just got to have the vision, and you got to take risk in life. But don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid. So I tell all these entrepreneurship people that don't be afraid, because I failed in doing things and I've learned from them. So don't be afraid of failure. Take risk. And as I tell even people that at our company, even, we're not a construction company. We're a risk management company. We manage risk every day. So managing your risk is very, very important. And America gave me that opportunity, and I'm always will be grateful for that.
It really is, in many respects, kind of the land of second chances in so many different ways. And I think that particularly in these tough times that we're going through, your story is a story that brings fantastic inspiration and highlights what's possible. If you have the determination and the will to work hard, you can be a game changer. And you clearly have been, not just for Arkansas, but for the entire country. And we're just so appreciative that you were able to come on with us today for our Game Changers, and wish you and your family and your company all the best and much more success as you move forward.
Thank you for this opportunity, and it's my pleasure.